What happens if you don't scavenge, take care of, convert these reactive products? They can do a number of very damaging things to biological systems. They can oxidize proteins, and the example I've shown here is an antioxidant enzyme itself called PON1, protects against atherosclerosis, very important enzyme. It's inactivated by oxidative stress. And so if you have high levels of oxidative stress, the levels of PON1 circulating in your plasma go down. They go down in many, many diseases, in rheumatoid arthritis, in multiple sclerosis, in diabetics, in patients with autoimmune diseases. It's a marker of what's going wrong in this system within your body. Too many oxidants are being produced. They're damaging proteins and enzymes. They can also damage fat, lipid molecules. And when that happens, it produces something you've probably heard about, TBARS. TBARS is an acronym, but it measures oxidized polyunsaturated fatty acids. Polyunsaturated fatty acids are not bad. They're essential for life. Every food you eat has some polyunsaturated fatty acids. You use it to synthesize your own cell membranes. But this free radical can damage that biological family of molecules as well. So it can damage proteins, it can damage lipids. It can also damage DNA. Another category of biological molecules, and everybody knows DNA is important. That's what constitutes your genes. It's what makes each of us different. It's what gives your children characteristics that they inherited from you. Sometimes good, sometimes bad, but that's the way that goes. This same free radical can damage DNA. Again, not a good thing. So here's a third category of biological molecules that can be damaged by DNA. Damaged DNA is called mutated DNA. And the right mutations in the right genes can lead to cancer, one of the biggest health problems we face. Again, the result of free radical attack on our DNA. And the free radicals can also signal events in our bodies. Some of these are not always damaging, and in the right place at the right time, they're good. Fibrosis is formation of scar tissue. So if you cut yourself, you want that wound to heal as quickly as possible. And fibrosis helps that to come about. However, if your heart becomes fibrotic, it's medically known as heart failure. The pump quits working at its normal output. Not good. Apoptosis is actually programmed cell death. It's a way by which cells can die. At times, that's good. When you're an embryo, this process of apoptosis actually is what carves out your fingers from what looks originally like mittens. And as the fetus develops, everything goes normally, and you develop hands and fingers as you should. So apoptosis is not a bad thing in the right place. But if the cells in your heart undergo apoptosis, it's not a good thing. The cells in your brain undergo apoptosis, and you may be diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. So all of these things require balance. Some of them are universally bad, some are bad only when the amount is incorrect. This slide was the result of work that took place throughout that previous graph that I showed you in the last 40 years. And so this was pretty much in place well before Protandim came along. We knew all of this happened. We knew what free radicals do that damages our bodies. And it was only when I looked at this within the last week and decided to put this very early slide in here to give you perspective, to give you a summary, that I realized that those 7 papers I'm going to be talking about, represented by those banners on the wall, have addressed every part of this damage that's done by Protandim. Specifically, paper number 6 over there, published in 2010, showed that Protandim prevents that loss of this antioxidant enzyme, PON1. Papers number 1, number 6, and number 7 showed that Protandim prevents this damage to lipids, to polyunsaturated fatty acids in our body that give rise to T-bars. Papers number 3 and 5 showed that Protandim prevents damage to DNA. In fact, those papers showed that Protandim supplementation could prevent skin cancers in the mice that were used in that study. Papers 4 and 6 showed that Protandim can prevent fibrosis, scar tissue that can cause a heart to go into failure. Paper number 4 showed that Protandim can prevent apoptosis, or programmed cell death. And you'll notice that in many of these things, multiple papers have addressed the same issue. And there's method to that. I think some people look at the specific disease models that have been studied in these papers, and it may look like a random selection. You know, why are we looking at drug-induced pulmonary hypertension? Why are we looking at intimal hyperplasia in veins that are used to bypass clogged arteries? It's because it's these same 5 processes that are involved in free radical damage, oxidative stress-induced damage throughout the body. What protects us from oxidative stress is not one antioxidant enzyme or even 2, even though that's what we focused on in paper number 1. It's an entire system of antioxidant enzymes. And here we see a tiny corner of that system. The enzymes are shown in blue on this sequence of reactions. The bad products are shown in red, and the detoxified products, or the antioxidant products that help get rid of the bad stuff, are shown in green. It's the blue enzymes that make these reactions occur. The first paper really focused only on that little part. It looked at the reactions catalyzed by SOD and catalase. A second paper, which is one of the very important ones, showed that the enzymes involved in making glutathione, you hear a lot about glutathione in this industry, are also upregulated by Protandim, allowing our bodies, our cells, our individual cells to make more glutathione. Not because the precursors or the raw materials to make glutathione are limiting. Sometimes they are. More often, it's the enzymes. It's the things encoded by your genes, upregulated by Protandim, that allow you to make more of these things.